From now on, it will be just us living with Mom. So the parasite should leave immediately. The couple, my older brother and his wife, said this and tried to kick me out. Even my mother started to treat me as a nuisance. Who do they think has been supporting this household's finances? Know your place and be prepared. In my heart, I screamed those words and decided to execute a certain plan. My name is Emily. I'm a 30-year-old remote worker. Currently, I live with my father and mother in our family home. After graduating from university and getting a job, I lived alone. However, the company I worked for was so toxic, and I ended up having mental health issues. As a result, I quit the company after working there for about 4 years and returned to my parents' home. I lived on unemployment benefits for about a year and then began job hunting. But I couldn't find a good company easily. Amidst this, I learned about freelancing, which allows one to work from home. Since I graduated from a science faculty and had initially worked at an engineering company, I began working as a freelance engineer. At first, I accepted a lot of simple tasks to build my portfolio. Though I earned just pocket money, the experience of earning from home was invaluable. I realized I could earn without working for a company or engaging much with people, which boosted my confidence. From then on, I passionately pursued my work from home. Gradually, my income increased, and in just over a year, I was earning as much as a regular salaried worker in a typical company. However, my parents didn't quite understand my work from home setup. I explained to both my father and mother. My father somewhat understood, but my traditional minded mother, who struggles with unfamiliar concepts, didn't really listen. How long are you planning on being in need? At first, I thought you couldn't help it because you were mentally unwell. But it's been over 2 years now. Please go out and work already. My mother often yelled at me like that. I explain to her every time that I am working, but she never understands. You're just playing on the computer. Work means going out and working. If you're going to lie, at least come up with a better one. How can I make my mother understand? I tried various methods to explain to her. I showed her emails from clients that don't specify the job details, and my salary that get deposited into my online bank. But she dismissed it, saying, I can't believe such things. It's not some weird productive religion, is it? No, it's not. Why would you think that? You can see I'm receiving money properly. That's probably just unemployment benefits. Remember, that won't last forever. My mother wouldn't listen to anything I said. I considered living on my own, but I hadn't saved up enough money to immediately move out. Amidst this, my father's legs gave out, requiring care. He had to take an early retirement, and our source of income vanished overnight. Dad, are you okay? Ugh, Emily, I'm sorry for making you worry. Well, there's still the pension. We should be able to scrape by. Really? Considering Mom's spending habits, it doesn't seem like we'll easily cover our living expenses. Even if we say that, we'll likely have to live off our savings. My father looked very tired. He probably was anxious about the future. Thanks to my father's income, I went to college and could live even after returning home from my monthly draining job at the black company. Would it be right to leave my father now and live on my own? My mother was also shaken, suddenly having to care for my father. I decided to stay home and repay my parents for their kindness. Dad, from now on, I'll contribute to the household expenses, so don't worry. But my father's eyes widened in surprise. Even if you say that, you don't have an income substantial enough to support the household, right? Don't worry, I'm earning quite a bit now. Saying that, I showed my father the deposit in my online bank account. I thought he'd understand since, unlike my mother, he had shown some understanding the last time I explained. Wait, Emily, you're earning this much? Yeah, Before I knew it, I started to earn a considerable income. That's amazing. So, considering all the times you've taken care of me, I'll take over the household expenses now. Thank you, Emily. This really helps. After that, I began covering the cost of my father's care, as well as the household expenses. For the living expenses, I arranged to transfer money into my father's bank account. My mother had been using a family card linked to my father's credit card, so I set up a new family credit card and gave her a new family card linked to mine. Since my father became unable to work, he asked my mother to be as frugal as possible. Well, why don't we just kick Emily up and Emily is contributing financially to the household. If we kicked her out, our living situation will become even tougher. Really? You must be joking. Even as my father explained, my mother seemed reluctant to believe it. But after my father persuaded her, she gradually accepted my presence in the house. From then on, I tried to help as much as possible with the household chores and caregiving while working. I felt I was doing my part as a family member, but to my mother it seemed like that was just expected. You're really not good at managing banks, are you? Can't you finish the household chores faster? Considering I'm balancing work with all of this, delays are inevitable. Remember, I'm here to support. Are you spinning some weird tale again? I wonder how long you'll keep saying such strange things. I had given up on getting my mother to understand me. It was enough that my father understood. And so, I continued living that way for about a year. However, a year later, my father fell seriously ill and had to be hospitalized. Concerned about my father, I visited him in the hospital every day. How are you feeling, Dad? Emily, thank you for coming. I'm not getting better, but if this means I'm not burdening you, maybe it's for the best. Don't say that. Taking care of you wasn't a burden for me. Still, it must have been tough dealing with your mother who doesn't understand you. Well, yes. The rift between my mother and me deepened as the year went on. I had been living in my parents' house for my father's sake, but it was increasingly challenging. But don't worry, I'll support both you and Mom. No matter how strained my relationship with my mother became, I wanted to stay with her as long as I could. After all, she had cooked for me and made my lunch boxes when I was a student. However, an incident shattered my resolve in an instant. Tom, you finally came! Sorry I'm late, Mom. Canceling my apartment lease took a while. Hello, it's been a while. Thank you for coming, Catherine. Wait, what are you and Catherine doing here? As I hurriedly approached the two of them, my brother and his wife gave me cold stares. From today, we'll be living in this house too. What? Mom has been feeling anxious. She said it's tough for her to live with just you, especially without Dad around. You've got to be kidding. I looked toward my mother. She averted her gaze with a stern expression on her face. Mom, now that we're here, you don't have to worry anymore. We'll make sure to properly educate Emily. Thank you, both of you. Emily, you better start working seriously, or else we'll kick you out of this house. They're treating me like a need again. Summoning my brother and his wife. Has my mother's misunderstanding really gone this far? My brother graduated from a prestigious university and got a job at a large corporation. Considering his age, he's probably earning a decent amount. Well, not to boast, but I earn quite a bit, and when it comes to income, I believe I earn considerably more than my brother. But wouldn't his salary be enough to cover the living expenses even if I weren't here? That's what I thought. And so began the unwelcome cohabitation with my brother, his wife, and my mother. Hey, Emily, how long are you going to sleep? My sister-in-law was banging loudly on my room door. I'm already awake. It was 8 in the morning, but I had already been up for a while and was working. I found it productive to start early. What? If you're awake, you should have said so earlier. Come on, make breakfast now. Wait, am I supposed to make breakfast for everyone? Everyone should just eat whatever they want for breakfast. I work from home, and both my mother and sister-in-law are housewives and at home. So the sister-in-law, being the wife, could make breakfast for my brother who goes to the office. Why are you acting so spoiled? It's obvious, right? Didn't I tell you? I'm going to educate you properly. I felt arguing would be futile, so I quickly made and served breakfast. My brother, sister-in-law, and mother looked at the breakfast I prepared and sighed. You expect me to go to work after eating this? You really are the helpless. With this, you'll never be a suitable bride. What I prepared was a plate-like breakfast with scrambled eggs, lettuce salad, buttered toast, and grilled sausages. I thought it was a decent breakfast, but I wondered what was wrong with it. Then you don't have to eat it. Upon hearing that, the three of them widened their eyes in anger. What's with that attitude? You're unemployed and yet so audacious. Really, this child is beyond help. After breakfast, you have to clean the floors, the bath, and the toilet. Wait a minute. I have work. I can't do all that. Huh? Work? Seriously? Just as Mom says, right? What kind of work could an unemployed person like you have? Do you really think you can keep up such a ridiculous lie? This is why I can't deal with the less educated. My brother and sister-in-law wouldn't believe what I said, and bombarded me with harsh words. My brother has always looked down on me. That's probably why he takes my mother's words at face value, and mocks me like he did in the past. I don't really care about that, but if this continues, they'll take away my work time. I went to my room, packed my laptop into my bag, and left the house. Hey, where are you going? I heard my brother shouting, but I ignored him and ran out. Then I went to my father's hospital room. What happened, Emily? You're out of breath. I explained the situation to my father. Then my father looked flabbergasted. I see. So they did that. I'm sorry, Emily. You can leave the house without any concerns. But if Tom is there, your mother is probably satisfied. You won't be happy in the environment. I want both of my children to be happy. So don't worry about your parents and live as you wish. You've supported your mother and me more than enough. Dad! I made up my mind to leave the house after hearing my father's words. After finishing my work in my father's hospital room, I returned home in the evening. There, my mother, brother, and sister-in-law were waiting for me, looking furious. Where the hell were you? What about your work, brother? I took a day off because of your behavior. Oh, really? Taking the day off just for that? Isn't that too irresponsible? As I thought this, my brother and his wife said the following. You should leave. Huh? From now on, it's just going to be us living with Mom. So the parasite like you should leave quickly. We have no obligation to support a lazy person like you. The couple said this, trying to drive me out. I'm at my limit too. How long do you intend to leech of your parents? Especially when your father is hospitalized. My mother also joined them in treating me as an unwanted person. Who do they think has been supporting this household's finances all this time? Despite the tough times with my father's hospitalization, my mother still manages to buy luxury brown goods once a month, even after being told by my father to be frugal. They really are irresponsible parents. I was furious at my mother and brother's family for treating me like an outsider and not listening to a single word I say. Know your place and be prepared. In my mind, I shouted that and decided to execute a certain plan. The first step was to transfer all the money from the account linked to my mother's card to another account. Once that account hits zero, she won't be able to use her card and will surely panic. I also transferred all the money intended for living expenses from my father's account to another account of mine. As for my father's medical expenses, I ensured they would be deducted from another account he has, one my mother doesn't know about. This way, my brother and his wife will have to shoulder all of my mother's living and frivolous expenses. I don't know how much my brother earns, but I'm sure they'll struggle. After completing all these procedures, I packed my bags. Well, I'll be leaving them. When I said that one day, my mother and my brother and his wife were shocked. Despite their constant sarcasm and insults, they probably thought I wouldn't leave since I stayed in the house for a few more days. But when they realized I was leaving, all three of them smirked and laughed. Finally decided to leave, huh? You really was such a troublesome young child. Don't ever think of coming back. Even if you do come back, we won't let you in. My family continued to insult me until the very end. I won't be coming back, of course, so make sure you never come asking for my help. Upon hearing that, the three of them burst into laughter. I wonder if they can keep laughing after I'm with a smile. I left my family home, and I rented an affordable apartment and began living on my own. I was amazed at how peaceful and quiet life could be without my mother. My work was progressing smoothly, and I enjoyed spending my time however I wanted without anyone bothering me. About a month later, I received a call from my brother. Expecting this, I answered the phone with a smirk. Hello? What's up? It's rare for you to call me. Is is it true that you were the one covering all the living expenses and Mom's leisure costs? It seems he heard from our father. Yes, it's true. What about it? Why didn't you tell me? I always mentioned I was working. Wasn't it you who chose not to listen? You just assumed I was unemployed, didn't you? Well, because Mom said so. Then, it's not my fault, right? Don't talk with me. Mom charged $3,000 on her credit card. And I heard that the monthly utilities and water bills were all paid from the money deposited into Dad's account. But there wasn't a single dollar in it. I used to deposit money for that. But since I no longer live there, I stopped transferring funds. What? Transfer the money right now. Excuse me? What are you saying? Transfer the money as you used to. I told you not to rely on me, remember? Who was laughing out loud at that time? Besides, you're working for a big corporation, right? Shouldn't you be able to handle living expenses? I got fired. What? Fired? I made a mistake that caused a significant loss for the company, and they fired me. Oh, really? Was that before you came back home? My brother fell silent. He probably realized I had hit the mark. That's why he decided to move back to our parents' house where he wouldn't have to pay rent. He probably assumed he could live off of our father's pension and severance pay. From my brother's perspective, since I, who was labeled as an employee, stayed at home for a long time, he probably thought the household had plenty of money. He must have been shocked to discover that his unemployed younger sister was the one who supported the family. And this was the same for both his wife and our mother. Please, we don't have any savings, and we can't make ends meet. Emily, please, after what happened, Your father is angry and said he won't contribute any money to the household other than his medical bills. At this rate, we'll all starve to death. I don't care about that. All of you are healthy. Go work. Stop being so spoiled. Just figure out your own lives. When I yelled at them like that, I heard their startled gasps over the phone. I'm going to hang up now and block your numbers. Like I said when I left the house, please don't rely on me. Goodbye. Wait. After that, I severed ties with my brother, his wife, and my mother. My father decided to divorce my mother, and through the lawyer, has requested the divorce. He changed his hospital so as not to see my mother and her group. Thanks to that, I can visit my father in the hospital. Rumor has it that after being kicked out of the family home by my father, my brother, his wife, and my mother moved into the crumpled apartment, and they all took part-time jobs to repay their debts. But my mother, having been a stay-at-home mom for so long, was sternly reprimanded by her superior and quickly quit. My brother, proud of his higher education, didn't like being interrupted by younger high school graduates and seems to have quit his job right away. Apparently, they all ended up relying on my brother's wife's part-time earnings, but she reached her limit with the situation and seemed to have run away one day. So now, my brother and mother are just scrapping by with day-to-day part-time jobs. However, my mother's habit of overspending hasn't changed, and the debt is said to be increasing. At this rate, they might both end up somewhere due to the debt, but it's none of my concern anymore. I'm still working hard in my comfortable room. My money keeps accumulating, so I'm thinking of venturing into investments and increasing my assets. I also plan to visit my father every day, cherishing the time we have together.